So there's two ways to think about this. I'll show you. I'm going to work through the algebraic way. It's my new favorite. So since sine is positive, we know it's positive because 3x is positive. Since sine is positive, that means it's either in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. Which means that the angle T is it's somewhere between 0 and pi radians. T is less than pi, but it's more than 0. So trying to figure out what quadrant pi minus t is going to be in. So we know if it's going to be a positive 3/8 or negative 3/8. We just need to make this 0 is less than t is less than pi look like pi minus t in the middle. So first thing you're going to do is multiply by a negative to get the negative t. So negative 0, negative t, and multiply by a negative, you get negative pi. But with inequalities, when you multiply by a negative, you flip the inequality. So those change directions. And it's supposed to be pi minus t, so we need to add pi here. Which means we have to add pi there, and we have to add pi there. So pi plus 0 is pi, and pi minus pi is 0. So this is saying that our new angle, pi minus t, is still greater than 0, still a positive angle, and it's less than pi, so it's still in quadrant 1 and 2, which means it's going to be positive answer because sine is positive in quadrants 1 and 2. For t plus pi, you do the same thing. You start with our same inequality, and then we just have to add pi to it. So that's 0 plus pi, t plus pi, and pi plus pi. So now that tells us that our new angle is between pi and 2 pi, which means it's in quadrant 3 or 4. No matter what, in quadrant 3 or 4, that's going to be a negative answer for sine, so it's negative 3/8. It will always be the same fraction. The quadrant just tells you if it's going to be positive or negative with the same fraction.